Okay, fantastic. Okay, welcome, Michael Ayandokun. Uh, you're a great English teacher. How
How
long?
long
How
have you been
long
in Chile? Have
exactly?
you been
How
in Chile?
long are
Yeah.
you been in Chile right now?
I've been in Chile for, let's say, like since 2001.
Hmm.
Yeah. So it's like 21 years.
Oh, wow. Yeah. Why did you come to Chile in 2001?
I came to Chile as an interchange student. I was studying Latin American studies with humanities IT at North London University, which is London Metropolitan University now. And I was studying Latin American studies, and part of Latin American studies is that you have to spend a year abroad in another country, and you have to do a project while you're there. So I came to Chile because I had in university, I had a really good teacher. You know, in life, you always have, a teacher or someone who's a mentor or someone who inspires you. And it was a guy called Alberto Henriksen, and he was Chilean. And then also as well, when I was at university, I worked in a bar in the university, and there were two people who, in the year above me, who went to Chile, and we were working in the bar together. They were studying Latin American studies as well. The year in front of me, and they said, Mike, you should go to Chile. It's a really good place. We had a really good experience. They told me about Viña del Mar. They told me about Valparaíso, and they said it was a really good place to go to spend your year abroad. So I came to Chile in 2001. Met lots of different people. We can go into that later, mentioning things like Cafe Vanillo and a lot of different personalities that I met in that first year, which was very interesting. Yeah, and that was it. That's why I came. That's the reason I came to Chile.
Yes, fantastic. I imagined you fell in love in Chile. You have your family, and you live in Valparaiso right now.
Yes, I'm living in Valparaiso. Like you say, you can ask me why did I come, and the other question is why did I stay? So why did I stay? So to be honest, I stayed. I came back because I went back to London in 2002. Sorry, no, it was 2002, August of 2002. I went back. Came back again for a visit because while I was here in 2001, I met a girl. Okay, I met a woman who was basically, turned out to be my wife. And then basically, I came back to visit her, and then I went back to London, and we stayed in touch. And I came back definitively to spend a life in Chile and start a family in 2003, 2004.
Mm.
Um,
It's difficult for you, for example, like a very young boy from England try to fit in Chile. Is what's difficult?
uh, yes and no, because I mean it's like all things. I think a lot of things have like a double-edged sword, you know. So me coming from England, uh, not only coming from England, but also being of Nigerian heritage because my parents are Nigerian. I was born in England. My parents are Nigerian, so I'm a back then. I think I'm pretty much a cultural phenomenon to some people because some people they fixate on things about England and they think of Downton Abbey or the royal family and old English toffee, and I don't particularly associate someone who maybe looks like me as being English. Um, But what I would say is that I was a novelty to a lot of people. So being a novelty, there's a lot of positives with that, of being a novelty, being different, being from England, having Nigerian heritage, what that being, quite unique to certain people, because I'm not unique in other areas. But most definitely feeling unique and being obviously different, but yet the same, because one is human. It's within those parameters of being human that you connect with other human beings, and you end up sharing stories and having adventures and connecting with Chileans and disconnecting with Chileans, and that is, looking at those 21 years. It's hard to believe, like 21 years in Chile, and it's like
a lot
flown
of
by.
time.
A long time. A lot of things happening, a lot of things within the historical context of Chile, because one thing is as well, it's like, it's very nice being a foreigner and wanting the best for the place where you live, and seeing positive things happen for the country where you live. I know historically Chile's been through a lot of bad moments, so it's nice to see Chile go through good moments, trying to get to a place where it wants to be. I think Chile's a place that wants to get to a certain place, and it's getting there, like slowly. It's getting there. It's getting to where it wants to be. It wants to be, a place of fairness, a place with ethics, a place with humanity, a place with, empathy. Consider all these, positive human things, against, a lot of people who don't coincide with those views. But at the end of the day, I don't want to, I'll talk about politics if I have to, but there's obviously a left and a right. There are some people on the right who are pretty much human as well, and then there are, people on the right who aren't particularly great humanists. But it's like I say, it's the life. 21 years has been interesting. Just
Wow.
put it that way.
Yeah, I could
Personally,
imagine.
and what's outside. Yeah, because it's interesting when you get to reflect, and it's not often I reflect. I mean, I say thanks for this interview, because within this interview, you get to reflect and you look back. You go, wow, it's absolutely amazing. My time in Chile, it's been amazing. There's been ups and downs and negatives, but really, as a whole, it's incredible.
It's incredible. Yeah, absolutely. Mikey, we share some interest in common. For example, the English, the learning and diffusion, cultural diffusion. And I would like to know about your writer aspect, because we also talk about books and everything, and I know you have a very special side of you, like an author. You like to write some scripts, I understand. So could you share about this?
I mean, the thing is that being a writer is something that you should be doing. I mean, some people say if you're not writing, you're not a writer. And I think I've gone through a long time of having maybe writer's block, or not always having ideas, but always failing to really complete. Like, for example, I have a novel which has been kind of like 6 years in the making. I've had 6 years of thinking about a novel, and having all of the chapters and having it in my computer and but not really finishing it. And a lot of that is to do with life. I mean, being married with a family, bringing up a family, it's not easy to become an author. And I think I've met a lot of people who have been writers later, because the kids grow up, they find they have more time, and then they can write. And I feel that me personally, I feel like I'm coming into that moment where there won't be any more excuses, because I will actually have time. I will actually have time to write. And there'll be a moment where I could say, well, right, this portion of my day, 2 hours in the morning from 6 to 8 is my writing time. And I'm good. So I don't have to worry about taking the kids to school. I don't have to worry about, because I'm particularly an independent person. I don't have to worry about rushing to work, because work is in my office. So I'm coming to a moment where I'm going to be able to be able to call my, and you need to get to a point where you can write, get something published, have it out there, and say you're a writer. You can't say you're a writer, or at least you can't call yourself a novelist until you've written a novel. I could say I'm a writer and I like writing because I've written songs, poetry, synopsis for films, and also I've completed screenplays and short films. And then again, like short films and screenplays, they're things for me that are tangible. I find it a lot easier to write a screenplay than a novel, but then again, I'm writing my novel like a screenplay. Like my novel is like it's being visualized as a really long film.
What topic do you like to write about?
What I'd like to do, what I prefer to do is I prefer not to kind of like write. For example, I was thinking the other day, I want to do a film. I need to do something fresh because I haven't done anything. I need to kind of like do something, because I wrote the last film I wrote. Well, the last screenplay was Fight Now. But then the last thing I wrote was most probably a comic called Caturo, which is like 30 pages, equivalent of half an hour, which is the format of most comics. And the idea was to write that comic and hopefully find an artist and find a way of developing the comic. But I haven't found an artist yet. But I want to do something new and fresh, and what I'm going to try and do, funny enough, is I want to try and do a romantic comedy. So but like I say, you say a topic, and then I say, I want to do romantic comedy, but generally what I do is I kind of like choose an area, but I know I'm going to be talking about lots of different things within an area. For me, everything is like a tapestry. When I write, it's like I'm not writing, because it's like writing is storytelling. And what's funny is that one of my biggest influences is the tapestries of old England. When I was a kid, when we were learning about history, we learned about, so for example, the Battle of Hastings, which is a big battle where William the Conqueror, a guy from France, came over and conquered Harold. And how you're told the story as a kid is by looking at a tapestry. They show you a tapestry which was done, I forget the age of the tapestry, but the tapestry, and the tapestry tells a story, and that was one of the first kind of like really big influence of storytelling. So for me, storytelling is always a tapestry. It can't be just about a subject, or there might be a main theme, but still what you're writing about is a tapestry where you're going to explore lots of different things at the same time. It's like, if you go to a restaurant and you want to talk about the restaurant, you're not just talking about, you know, plates, knives and forks, or the chef. You know, there's going to be other interesting people. There's going to be lots of different things there. Maybe different people on different tables are going to be talking about different things. So everything is like, you know, it's a tapestry. It's a, you know, a big universal mixture of things. But apart from that, yeah, what's my theme? You know, themes that I might touch upon might be, you know, just human relationships, and that's complex within itself. So, you know, obviously, you know, a relationships between couples, or relationships between friends. You know, that's always interesting. Also, social issues from class, race, you know, racism, discrimination.
It's very interesting that you mentioned before about the tapestry, because you live in a city, Valparaiso, who is like a tapestry itself. You know, Valparaiso is very unique in like a city. You know, and you are immersed in the city, and you mentioned the social aspect that you are interested in, and I think it's quite cohesive, your vision of your city and your vision of your art. You know, like a tapestry, you know. So I want to know your relationship with the social aspect with this tapestry, social tapestry, like you're interested in, for example, in a cancha, in a football teams, and a football teaching, what is the relationship in between this kind of things? Because you are interested in a tapestry, but also in a social aspect as well, I think.
Yeah, I mean, with football's a passion, and you know, you have lots of, you know, anyone has lots of passions. Football's a definite passion because of, you know, playing the game, camaraderie, relationships. It's power for social change. It's power of you know, of just, you know, just providing an outlet where people can come together, meet, discuss ideas, have it be a force for change, for positivity. There's lots of things within the community that that football helps. You know, then again, you know, going from tapestry story to my passion for football and running the cancha, I kind of, you know, I don't see them too connected, but they're kind of connected by the fact that, you know, their passions, and, you know, football is a tapestry within itself, and there's lots that can come out of there's lots of positive stuff that could come out of football. I know there's a lot of negative stuff about football, but you could say that about anything. I think, you know, a lot of people, you know, I see and I work with a lot of people every day in football, and I get deeper and deeper within the community of football, because you can, for me, I started off, you know, within my own community of friends, when we were trying to put, you know, football games together, and sometimes we wouldn't even get 4 people to play. We'd be in a cancha and there was just 4 people kicking the ball around. And then it grew and it grew and it grew and it grew. And now we have like a WhatsApp chat of over like 200 people. And we run tournaments every like, say, every 3 months. And these tournaments consist of like at least, you know, 48 to 50 people, you know.
Mm-hmm. What do you prefer? Teaching English or run the cancha? Would you like, what do you enjoy more?
I think a lot of things, because they're kind of like, you know, there was a point with it, especially teaching. There was a point where, for me, kind of like when I was at university, I always thought I was going to be a teacher. I always thought, well, when I finish university, I was going to go to. That was the plan. My original plan was, okay, I'm going to finish university. When I finish university, I'm going to go to teacher training college. So I came to Chile, and so changed my plans. I wasn't going back to England, and then I was going to do a master's doctorate in e-learning, yeah, which was at the Open University, which is the famous, it's the best kind of distance learning university in the world, basically. And funny enough, that their master's doctorate had to be presential, which was pretty odd, yeah. So I didn't do the master's doctorate, which was a shame, because that was my moment of saying, right, I'm going to go and full into academics and beat my brother, who's a doctor in computer science. So I thought there was going to be 2 doctors in the family, but no, I couldn't continue to be a doctor. So I did other things. And when I was in Chile, when I first arrived in Chile, I taught English to pay the rent, you know. And when I was teaching, it was like to pay the rent. I didn't have when I first started teaching, I didn't have a passion for it, to be honest. It was like, you know, I'm doing this because I can do it. What I really want to do is I want to be
for a job, for work.
But yeah, and what I really want to do is I want to be kind of like, you know, entrepreneuring and doing, you know, other interesting stuff like wine tours and stuff like that, you know. But then in the pandemic, I think in the pandemic was when I really kind of, well, right, okay, you know, I like this. And then it was kind of like, because before you would, you know, you as an English teacher, and, you know, I've said it with a lot of teachers, you know, when you first start teaching, you're watching the clock, you know, you're watching the clock. But then when you have a passion about it, you're in the moment with the student. And that is what good teaching is when you're fully focused in the moment with the student. And that's the same kind of thing when it comes to coaching football. You know, you're coaching football and you're in the moment. You're in the moment, and it's the same thing. And then for me, that there's like a principle of teaching and coaching, because I kind of teach like a coach. And that's a sports influence. So there's a sports influence on how I teach English, rather than there's being like an English teaching influence on how I teach sport. And then, you know, teaching isn't just teaching, it's motivation. It's, you know, sometimes it's philosophy, it's, you know, other ways of thinking. Sometimes it's emotional intelligence. It's
self-esteem actually for
the student, for the teacher. As a teacher, you get a lot of things back from your student, you know, which maybe some teachers don't talk about. But as you get more and more into teaching, and you get more into it as a philosophy, and you get into it as a science, and like I say, like there was always this thing of teaching there, and there was a passion for it, but kind of like I had these other passions. And as like I say, when I first started teaching, it was a way to pass the rent, and not really seeing teaching as a passion. And now teaching is a passion along with other things, because you get this thing with like I'm not a formally trained teacher. I didn't go to teacher training college, you know. I've done some courses. I was trained in the Berlitz technique when I worked for Berlitz. I've done some online courses for teaching English, but what I follow is trying to like when you listen to to TED Talks on teaching, or you listen to people, teaching isn't just about regurgitating what you've learned from a textbook. It's finding your style to teach, and then also finding the style of the students learning, you know. So it's quite complex, and it's really interesting, and teaching in itself is like, you know, this really interesting thing. And I'm sure that you'd speak to a lot of teachers, and like I say, you'll have some teachers who are like, you know, yeah, they're just doing it to pay the rent, and they're really an actor, or they want to be a chef, or they want to be something else, you know, which is what you have in teaching sometimes. I remember when I was young and I wanted to be an actor, all of my teachers would say to me, you have to become a teacher.
Oh my God.
That's what you fall back on as an actor.
Wow.
You know, that's what you're supposed to fall back on as an actor in England. They say, you know, well, if you want to be an actor, you've got to learn how to be a teacher, because that's what you have to fall back on when you don't make it as an actor. Oh,
Mikey, maybe you are the next, I don't know, James Bond, and we don't know.
You don't know it. Well, you don't know. Maybe no. Yeah, maybe
not. Well,
not James Bond, but maybe a 006, maybe, or 008.
Yeah, something like that. But it's quite interesting. Quite interesting. Your vision, your adventure here in Chile. So I must to ask you, after these 21 years, are you happy with your decision to live in Chile?
Yeah. I mean, like I say, it's like, you know, when you go through the hard times, yeah, it's a bad decision. You know, when the things are hard, yeah, you say it's a bad decision. But when you really get to look at it, and you know you only have one life, you know, and you could say, well, I didn't do this, I didn't do that. And when you really get things into perspective, and you understand how lucky I am to have lived the life I've lived, to have met the people I've met, even through the bad times, you know, what's to regret? Because that's life. Because you can't kind of say, well, I've been through some suffering, so there's no point in you know, like, you know, it was terrible, because life's that's life. The tapestry, you know, I'm a living and everybody's a living tapestry, and all their life is a mixture of ups, downs. But you can't say, because life is a gift, you know, life is a gift. Life is like, you know, it's a wonderful thing, and to be I can't be it would be ungrateful of life for me. And this is, you know, me being like, I don't know, spiritual or whatever, but it's kind of like, you can't have regrets. The regrets are always in the moment. The regrets are always in the moment of the bad times. Once you get through the bad times, you look at those bad times, and those bad times have helped you, you know, reflect. They've helped you realize that you've done, you know, you're not perfect, that other people aren't perfect, that you have to forgive people for being, you know, imperfect, you know, because there are those reasons. And as you get to reflect, it's like, there's no point in being, you know, bitter and regretting things, because at the end of the day, you know, there's so many beautiful moments and bad moments too, but as a whole, it's a great thing, you know. So, you know,
fantastic. It's very interesting to hear you talking about your life like a tapestry. This image, I think I simply love it, because it's very powerful, you know. So thank you for share your personal thoughts, your experience. Well, this is the main objective of this interview, to know different people who are interested in different things like books, like language, like culture, like sports, like, well, like you. So thank you for this interview. And well, maybe ahead, maybe we should talk about another topics. What do you think about it, Mike?
Okay, see you soon. Thank you very much.
Oh, thank
Bye-bye.
you, Mikey. Boy, I'm started recording right now.